Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to Thursday Chats with Whitman-Walker. It is Thursday, so we're having a chat, guys. Come on in. Come on in, come on in. Come on in, guys. It's Thursday Chats with Whitman-Walker. Hello, hello. How you doing today? Can you hear me? Can't hear you.
Sorry, I had
Hello,
to shut off
hello.
the work phone.
Oh, got it. Were you coming in under Whitman-Walker or your page?
Am I on my page or Whitman-Walker?
Your page.
Okay, let me go Whitman-Walker.
Okay, cool. Hey guys, we're doing our chat today with Whitman-Walker, so come on in. We're going to be talking about STD awareness because it is STD Awareness Month. So we're doing our weekly lives with Whitman-Walker. Come on in, don't be shy. Let's talk about things. There we go. Good morning, people. Good morning. Thanks for coming. Share the live. Get your friends in here. Let's talk about STD Awareness Month. There you go. Can you hear me?
Happy STD Awareness Month, Orlando.
Happy STD Awareness Month, correct. So we're changing it up today. We're talking about STDs. So for those of you that don't know, I am Orlando, social media influencer, employee with Whitman-Walker. Pronouns are he, him, and his. And we have a special guest today. He's always behind the scenes, but he is actually talking with me today. To introduce yourself, Brendan.
Hey, my name is Brendan. I am the social media outreach HIV prevention coordinator at Whitman-Walker, and my pronouns are he and him.
Perfect, perfect, perfect. So today we'll be talking about the 3 most commonly reported STIs: gonorrhea, chlamydia, and syphilis.
And these STIs might sound a little bit intimidating, but the good news about all of the STIs we're talking about today is that they are treatable. They are just bacteria, and we treat them with antibiotics. They go away. So if you get tested and you discover that you have one of these 3, you just take some medication, come get tested at Whitman-Walker. We'll treat you really easily.
Beautiful, beautiful. Good to know. So Whitman-Walker's free HIV and STI testing and counseling services will test you for gonorrhea, chlamydia, and syphilis. If you do test positive, they can easily get you treatment. You just call 202-797-4439. If you want to schedule an appointment, we are not taking walk-ins right now. So make sure you make an appointment before you plan on coming in.
Exactly. So let's jump right into the content. We're going to start talking about the most commonly reported STI in the US. Can our viewers guess which one that is? So anyone want to throw in the comments?
So guys, yeah, ask questions, anything you want to know, like engage with us. We're going to give you a couple seconds to answer that. Let's see.
Anyone think they know most commonly reported STI in the US?
Nobody has guessed yet.
I guess it's a hard question, so you know what? Understand. The answer, for those of you who might be too shy, it's chlamydia. The CDC estimates that nearly 3 million new infections occur in the United States every year, and 2/3 of those infections are among young people aged 15 to 24. The distribution of the disease reveals some disparities. It's about 6 times more prevalent among Black folks than white folks, and it's also very common among men who have sex with men, or MSM.
So, Brandon, how do you think you can get chlamydia?
Well, let me think. It's a sexually transmitted disease, so I feel like that means you can get it through sexual contact. Is that correct?
Yes, that's right. The bacteria lives in the penis, vagina, front hole, mouth, or anus, and they get passed on when you make sexual contact with one of those areas of an infected partner. Additionally, chlamydia can get passed from mother to child during childbirth. That all means that any sexually active person can get chlamydia, even if you've already had it before.
In Orlando, is it true you might not know if you have it?
Well, I don't know. What do our viewers think? Do you always know when you have chlamydia, peoples? Tell us what you think. And of course, we'll answer it if you don't know.
I feel, this is just me, I don't know what the viewers are thinking, like like I usually know when I have an infection. Like if I have strep throat or something, like I'm gonna know. So I don't know why it would be different for chlamydia.
Well, I'm going to surprise you. It's different. Chlamydia is often called a silent infection because most people are asymptomatic. As few as 10% of men and 5% of women show symptoms, which can include urethral or rectal discharge, painful urination pain and discomfort in the abdomen, pelvis, scrotum, and rectum, and bleeding in the rectum or vagina front hole. That's why it's so important to get tested. If you have chlamydia, you probably don't know.
Wow. And I think we've already said it, but if you test positive for chlamydia, it's really easy to treat it with antibiotics. So it just kind of makes sense to get tested and then treated if necessary. What if I don't get treated though, Orlando? What happens?
So untreated chlamydia can cause serious permanent health problems like pelvic inflammatory disease, ectopic pregnancy, infertility, and reactive arthritis. Having chlamydia also increases your chance of acquiring or transmitting HIV.
Okay. Yikes. So I feel like if you're sexually active, you definitely want to get tested because you might not know if you have it and it could cause really serious health problems for you. Just kind of makes sense to get treated. Again, that number, 202-797-4439. It's in the comments below. Call if you want to get tested. It's really easy.
Yes, and definitely. I feel like if you're sexually, also if you make sure that you're preventing against getting chlamydia, you can do so many things like use condoms correctly, talk with your sex partner about their status, consider having a long-term mutual monogamous relationship with a partner who has been tested, or choose not to have sex at all.
So I think that kind of covers chlamydia. Do you want to talk about gonorrhea now?
Sure. So let's see if there's any questions in here. We have a little hellos. Whitman-Walker will be posting for us, guys. So if you see anything, take a snap of it because it won't save the comments when we post this on our lives. And if you have any questions you want to ask in private, please write us at Whitman-Walker, and we'll be more than happy to get an answer or find someone to get that answer for you. So don't be shy, guys. These are the things you want to talk about. So let's see. We can move on. So yeah, let's talk about gonorrhea, Brendan. Tell us about it.
Okay, so not gonna lie, gonorrhea, which is also kind of called the clap, I don't know if you know that, has a lot in common with chlamydia. They're both common bacterial infections. Gonorrhea is a little less common, only about 1 million infections per year compared to like the 3 million with chlamydia. Half of gonorrhea infections occur in young people, very similar to chlamydia. You can get gonorrhea very similar ways by having anal, oral, or vaginal front hole sex. Or through childbirth. Gonorrhea is often asymptomatic, so you might not know if you have it, though people with gonorrhea might experience symptoms like people with chlamydia, like burning with urination, discharge. Yeah, and if you have gonorrhea, you can cure it really easily with medication. And if you don't, you might experience something like pelvic inflammatory disease, infertility, or ectopic pregnancy. And just like chlamydia, you can prevent against gonorrhea by using condoms correctly, by talking with your partners about their status, by considering having a mutually monogamous long-term relationship, or choosing not to have sex at all. I went through that kind of quickly, but I just wanted to highlight there are so many similarities between chlamydia and gonorrhea. It's really important to get that.
Right. So when you go get tested, you can just pretty much tell them to test for everything, right?
Yeah. When you go get tested, the symptoms between gonorrhea and chlamydia are going to overlap a lot. So when you get tested, you want to know what it is. You call Whitman-Walker HIV STI. Again, the number is pinned in the chat, 202-797-4439.
Good to know, guys. Like, don't go in with a specific idea that you have a specific one because it could be something else. So, just go ask to get tested for everything. That way you don't, miss it or misdiagnosis. So, yeah, you did run kind of quickly, but it makes sense. I feel that gonorrhea and chlamydia are really, really similar, except gonorrhea is a little less common and you're a little more likely to have symptoms with gonorrhea.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And like Orlando said, symptoms overlap a lot, or you might not have symptoms at all. So that's why it's really important to get tested. Number is pinned in the chat below.
Perfect. So do we have any questions from our viewers? Let's do a quick run through, check. Everyone is just watching quietly. Good. You guys
That's
can listen.
awesome. If you guys just want to watch, that's great. I hope you're absorbing it all. Why don't we move on to syphilis? Orlando, you want to start talking about that?
Sounds good. So we did put these three diseases in one live for a reason. They're all very similar. Syphilis is relatively common. Around 115,000 were reported in the United States cases last year. The majority of those coming from MSM. You can get syphilis from sexual contact from childbirth. However, through syphilis can sometimes go unnoticed. It has a different set of symptoms from gonorrhea and chlamydia.
So, yeah, a lot of times it's asymptomatic, but syphilis, the nickname for it is the great pretender because it has a wide range of symptoms that look like other diseases, not just STIs. So someone with syphilis is going to experience symptoms in 4 stages. And these are really cool.
So the first 3 to 6 weeks after infection are called primary stage. One or more firm round stores called chancres, and it will also appear whenever syphilis enters your body. So in the and around the genital and mouth or the rectum, the chancres can be really small and unnoticed, especially if they're internal, or they can be bigger. They will last for a few weeks and heal even without getting treatment. But if you don't get treatment, you could go to the secondary stage of the disease.
So primary stage, you get those chancres. Secondary stage, you might experience like skin rashes or mucous membrane lesions. You might also experience like flu-like symptoms, so fever, sore throat, fatigue. Again, we call it the great pretender because you might have flu-like illnesses. Think it's the flu. It could be syphilis, the secondary stage. These symptoms are all going to go away again without treatment. But again, if you don't get treatment, you might move forward to what's called the latent and the tertiary stages.
So the latent stage can last for years if you experience no symptoms at all. Finally, if you still haven't gotten treatment after having the disease for a few years, you move on to the tertiary stages of the disease where syphilis bacteria can cause damage to major organs like your brain, nerves, eyes, heart, liver, blood, vessels, bones, and joints. It can even be fatal. Also, at any point of the infection, even the primary or secondary stages, you can experience damage to the brain and eyes that can cause permanent dementia, paralysis, and blindness. So,
Fun fact,
serious.
yeah, it might not be a super fun fact, but like a lot of famous people have died of syphilis, including gangster Al Capone, ragtime pianist Scott Joplin, classical composer Franz Schubert, artist Paul Gauguin and Edward Manet, philosopher Friedrich Nietzsche, and author Oscar Wilde.
Wow. And also, syphilis and HIV have a number of connections. Syphilitic chancres make transmitting and acquiring HIV easier, and a scientist estimate 2 to 5-fold increased risk in acquiring HIV if exposed when syphilis is also present. Last year, around half of MSM with primary and secondary syphilis were also living with HIV.
So we don't want to scare you too badly. A lot of scary stuff in there. Especially with fatal syphilis, most of these deaths occurred because we didn't have treatment back then. These were like back in like the 17th, 18th, 19th centuries. But a lot of people still can go on to develop that tertiary and fatal syphilis if they don't get tested. Because if you don't get tested, you might not know that you have it, and then you can't get treated.
Right. And like every disease we've talked about today, treatment is super easy. You come in, get antibiotics, and you're pretty much set.
And it's even easier to prevent against syphilis by doing the things we've been talking about during this whole live. So that's using condoms correctly, talking with your sex partners about their status, having a long-term mutually monogamous relationship, getting tested, or choosing not to have sex at all. That was a lot of material we went through about gonorrhea, chlamydia, syphilis. feel like we had some pretty overarching themes about why it's important to get tested, some symptoms to look out for, and how you can get treated. Are there any questions in the chat?
Don't be shy, guys and gals. Don't be shy. I'll give you a couple seconds. Let's see. Well, I mean, you guys, like I said, if you don't feel comfortable, you can always ask in private. DM us at Whitman-Walker page. You can follow them if you already aren't. So in closing, please get routinely tested for STIs. If you're sexually active, you don't always know when you have an STI, and you want to protect you and your partner's health.
I see one question about herpes in the comments. So you're right, herpes, that is another STI. Herpes could kind of deserve its own live just because it's different than gonorrhea, chlamydia, and syphilis. Herpes is a lot more widespread than gonorrhea, chlamydia, and syphilis. There are two types of herpes. There's oral herpes, so that would be like cold sores that you might experience in or around your mouth. And then there's genital herpes, which is just like same sores, but they happen in your genital area. And herpes is really weird because there are like 7 billion people in the world, and about 60 to 70% of them have oral herpes. And about 10% of them have genital herpes. And that's a lot of people to have the herpes virus living in their body. But what's really interesting is most people who have herpes do not experience any symptoms. They go their entire lives without having an outbreak, don't even know that they have it. And it's just super widespread. That's part of why herpes is such like a successful virus. It like spreads so easily because people don't know they have it. So herpes for some people though, for a small minority, does cause outbreaks that can be really painful, that can be really awkward. And unfortunately, there's no cure for herpes, unlike the other STIs we've been talking about today. What you can do for herpes is if you think you're having an outbreak, you can go to a medical provider and you can get that outbreak cultured, and they can tell you if it's herpes simplex virus or not. And if it is, they can get you treatment for it. So treatment is not going to cure the virus, but it will make those outbreaks a lot less worse, and it can even prevent outbreaks from happening. I hope that kind of answers your herpes question.
And yeah, we'll think about doing a specific live just with that topic. So we were literally just talking about these three. So I will bring that up and see if that's a live we can do one of these days and get a little bit more in depth about herpes. But yeah, guys, feel free to send us DMs. You already know the reminder for COVID-19 is still very much around. So over 150,000 people were hospitalized with COVID, and the death toll is nearly 400,000. It's up to us to slow the spread of the virus. So remember to wear your mask, social distance, wash your hands, stay home, especially if you're feeling sick, and encourage others to do the same.
And if you want to check out more videos like this, just follow our content on Instagram at Whitman-Walker, on Twitter also at Whitman-Walker, on Facebook, Whitman-Walker Health. And if you want to get tested for the STIs we've been talking about today, just look at the pin below. It has the number for it. You call us anytime 9 to 5, Monday to Friday. We'll pick up, answer, get you on the schedule, get you an appointment.
And I'll put it in the header too. So if you watch the saved video, it'll be in the header. That way it'll help a little bit, or give us a DM and we can always forward that to you. Well, thank you, everyone. Thanks. It's just so common. Most people don't know. Exactly. Yep, that's true. Let's see if anyone else has any other questions. Well, thanks for hopping on today with me, Brendan.
And thank you for having me, Orlando. So much fun to always go live with you. And happy STD Awareness Month.
Thank you. Thank you. All right. We'll see you all soon. Stay tuned. Have a great weekend. Be safe.
Bye. Thank you.